Ready?
Ready.
Okay. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Palm Springs Public Arts Commission of Thursday, August 8th at 2024 at 5:30 p.m. Jay, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, Commissioner Landy,
Present.
Commissioner Gascon,
Present.
Commissioner Kibbe,
Present.
Commissioner Silvera,
Present.
Commissioner Burns,
Present.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Present.
Commissioner Favreau, and Chair Armstrong,
Present.
and soon to be Commissioner Gonzalez is listening.
Here, yes.
Thank you.
Great.
We have quorum.
Excellent. Someone like to make a motion for the acceptance of the agenda as presented.
I'd like to make a motion to accept. Andrea?
Any second? Second. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Jay, are there any public comments?
Anyone in the audience, did you have any public comments to make? We did receive one public comment that was provided by email, which was distributed to the commission. So thank you. No other public comments.
Bernard, are you going to make a public comment? No?
Not at this time.
Okay,
I think I got everything.
great, excellent.
Okay.
Let's see. Now we have time to introduce the new commissioners. Would everybody go around the table, introduce himself to everybody else? And we'll start with you.
Thanks for putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
If you could press.
Yeah, everybody push the button when you're speaking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jim Landay, and I'm pleased to be here today for my first meeting with this esteemed commission. Very glad to be here. I moved to Palm Springs about 3 years ago from the East Coast. I used to live in the artists' colony of Provincetown, Massachusetts, and also split my time in Washington, D.C., where I used to be in federal government. I'm retired now and delighted to be able to participate in the proceedings with the rest of you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tom Burns. I am an artist and I run a gallery here in town. I also am publishing an art magazine called Artworks as well. And I've been on the council or commission rather for season 1 year.
Great. Gary Armstrong, I think everybody here knows me. I've met all of you. We'll skip me and go over to Miss Kibbe.
Lori Kibbe. I've been working out in the desert 17 years, lived here the last 6. I'm a major collector, I have a family of collectors, 2 daughters that are artists, so I'm very excited to participate in the commission.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Ramirez. Been on the commission for about 1 year. Before Palm Springs, I moved here in 2019. I was in Mexico City and in New York City from the Bay Area originally. Previous worlds were in tech and music entertainment. I've always had a love for art, and I run a studio here called Super Bloom in Palm Springs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natassia Gascon. I'll try to keep this very brief. I'm originally from Honolulu, Hawaii. I started my career there as a journalist and community producer for Olelo Community Media. I moved to Los Angeles and graduated from the Art Institute of California, Hollywood. And subsequently started my art career starting in the Getty as the Getty internship program, and then LA County Arts internship program. I have about 15 years in arts administration and arts advocacy. After my internships, I was employed throughout Los Angeles at 18th Street Arts Center, many museums, Burns Art Museum, Manhattan Beach Art Center, Palos Verdes Art Center, Marciano Art Foundation, and and many others. And currently, right now, I am with the Agua Caliente Cultural Museum. I am now a grant panelist for the California Arts Council for the state of California. And I am a arts and cultural TV reporter for the city of El Segundo. And my experience in government, I came here from the Palms Neighborhood Council in Los Angeles, and in specializing in public arts and arts policy, and I'm happy to be here.
Hi, my name is Carlos Silveira. I've been in the commission for about a year also. And I'm a retired art professor from Cal State University. It's been already 5 years. And that's it.
Tina, you're up.
Hi, Tina Gonzalez. I am fairly new, permanent resident of Palm Springs. I've been here for about 2 years, from Seattle. I am not an artist, but I do collect art, and I've served on many boards and arts organizations throughout the years. I'm a huge fan of public art, and I am very excited to be part of this group. And I will join you guys in person next meeting.
Remarks from the chair. So everybody in the room needs to look around and be proud. Last year was the 35th anniversary of the Public Art Commission, and we completed the most intricate and complex installation to date, the Pillars of Palm Springs. I mention this for 2 reasons. Last week, one of the pieces, Catalactus, the creativity pillar, was awarded the People's Choice Award from the internationally acclaimed CodaWorks competition. So we are now the award-winning Palm Springs Public Arts Commission. And more importantly, to everyone in this room, because of the work we've accomplished and the work ahead, we have expanded the commission from 7 to 9 members. This is the largest the commission has ever been. So thank you to City Council, to City staff for making this happen. And for our new members, welcome to the award-winning Public Arts Commission. In June, a few of you were at the Joint Commission meeting hosted by City Council. And when I gave an overview of the Arts Commission, I said that public art is an invitation to engage, to reflect, to dialogue, to explore, to change, and to belong. But mostly it's an invitation to step into a world where culture, community, and economic development come together. According to our ordinances, the role of the Arts Commission is to, and quote, to add to the economic viability of the community and to enhance the environment and unique character of Palm Springs by providing for the acquisition and maintenance of quality works of public art. It's pretty straightforward. I think you'll understand that, which is why you joined and why you're sitting here tonight. So how do we achieve that goal? By voting thoughtfully. When I was first sworn in as a commissioner back in 2021, then City Clerk Anthony Mayhaw gave me 2 pieces of advice. The first he said was, only make decisions on what you learn in the room. So if you heard or read relevant information prior to the meeting, before we vote, discuss it with the entire commission so that that is part of the public record. Make your decision on what's discussed and presented to you in this room. And it'll be presented either by staff, other commissioners, or by people who speak up during the recorded meeting. That is the role of public comment. The last piece of advice he said was be patient. Good work takes time. There are protocols in place which may seem cumbersome, but end up protecting you, protecting the commission, and ultimately protecting the work. And remember, the work is on behalf of the city, not you personally. In the year ahead, we will be asked to make 2 kinds of votes, and each reflect the specific aspect of our charge. Adding to the collection and maintaining the collection. So our budget is essentially tax dollars. So how the city uses the money is heavily regulated. There's no qualitative assessment if a light bulb needs to be replaced or if a sculpture needs to be repaired. It just does. So we must maintain the collection. And because of our ordinances, staff must come to the commission and ask for approval for things like maintenance and installation and lighting, just because know and trust that they will never ask for anything that we don't have the budget for. And I ask that you trust staff when they put a request in front of the commission for a vote. There's generally nothing tricky about voting to approve it. Regarding the acquisition part, that's tricky. The challenge, as always, is defining what is intended as quality works of public art. The Public Arts Commission is not an advocacy group, although some work can reflect social issues. We're not a private art gallery, although the work is curated. And we're not a cultural education facility, even though good art can educate and inspire. In simple terms, we are charged with adding to the city's permanent collection of art, which is meant to reflect the dynamic interests of the residents of Palm Springs. So the filters that I personally take when I make any vote, and these are subjective, is questioning the audience, the intent, and the context of the selection before I vote to either approve or deny the recommendation, which ultimately goes to council. So for audiences, who is the art for? Understanding the demographic, the cultural and social background of the people who will interact with the art is crucial, and how it influences public perception for residents and visitors alike. The intent, what's the artist's purpose behind creating the work, and understanding the message or emotion they're aiming to convey. Knowing the intent helps evaluate if the art meets the needs of our city. And last is context, the environment and the circumstances surrounding the artwork. This includes the physical location. Is it for a park or a media? Is it a quick impact or thoughtful consideration? The context can enhance or detract from the art's impact, shaping how it's interpreted by the audience. I ended the Joint Commission meeting by saying that the members of the Art Commission are all individuals who have wholly distinct visions of art, yet we are thoughtful and respectful of diverse opinions. And I still believe that to be true. We frequently disagree, but we will always reach consensus. We all know that our work creating and maintaining the Palm Springs Public Art Collection serves as a powerful reminder to visitors and residents alike, and that hope and beauty exists in Palm Springs. So again, welcome to the Public Arts Commission. We have a lot of work ahead of us, and I guarantee you we will be winning more awards. Okay, so onto that, we have the election of the Public Arts Commission Chair and Vice Chair for the 24-25 fiscal year.
So we have City Clerk Brenda Free to conduct the election.
Good afternoon. Brenda Free, City Clerk. So I'm here tonight to conduct the nominations and hold your election for your chair and your vice chair. At this time, nominations are now in order for the office of chair. Do we have anyone that would like to make a nomination for the chair of this meeting?
I think that we should.
Derek.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Gary Armstrong for Chair of the Public Arts Commission.
Are there any further nominations? No? Seeing none, without objection, I'll move the nominations are now closed. And that Gary Armstrong is elected by unanimous consent. Our next nomination would be for co-chair. Is there anyone who would like to make a nomination for co-chair of this board?
It's Vice Chair, isn't it?
Vice chair?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'd like to make a nomination for Mr. Tom Burns as Vice Chair of the Public Arts Commission.
Any further nominations? Seeing none, without objection, nominations are closed. And Mr. Tom Burns is elected unanimously by consent. At this time, I will request a motion to accept the election of Gary Armstrong as your chair and Tom Burns as your vice chair. Can I receive a motion and a second for that nomination?
I'll make a motion to elect Gary Armstrong as the chair and Tom Burns as the vice chair.
Second.
Mr. Secretary, can you conduct a roll call vote for me, please?
Commissioner Landy,
Yes, and yes, and yes.
thank you. Commissioner Gascon,
Yes and yes.
Commissioner Kitty,
Yes, for both chair and vice chair.
Commissioner Silvera,
Yes, and yes.
Commissioner Ramirez,
Yes and yes.
Commissioner Burns,
Yes, and yes.
Commissioner Armstrong.
Yes and yes.
We have 7 ayes.
Motion carries 7-0, and we have Gary Armstrong as your chair, and Mr. Tom Burns as your vice chair. We may proceed with your meeting.
Thank you, Brenda. Next item, approval of minutes for May 2nd, 2024 and June 6th, 2024. Just for clarification, Jay, previously we had commissioners who were not present when minutes of meetings they approved. Can you explain how that would work for commissioners who are new?
Yes, commissioners, even if you were not in attendance at the meetings, having had a chance to review the minutes, if they seem reasonable, and if you trust those who were here and their votes, you may vote on approving minutes, even if you were not present for those meetings.
I'd like to make a motion to approve May 2nd, 2024 and June 6th, 2024 minutes.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have a presentation. Jay, would you like to introduce our guest?
Yes, sorry, Ned, I'm forgetting your last name from the from Barista Park area regarding some enhancements. There's a microphone. Thank you very much.
And for the new commissioners, when we have a presentation, we're not taking any action on the item. We're listening, and then we will discuss it at a subsequent meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for allowing us to do this. I'm Ned Barker. I'm board chair for the Barista Neighborhood Organization. I'm also on the 1PS board. And with me today is our vice chair, Patrick Vincent, and Michael Conway at large with the board of directors for Barista Neighborhood. And we're here because we plan to submit a Measure J application to enhance the safety, beauty, and usability of our Barista Park. The park's safety and beauty, as explained in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, are significantly diminished due to the bifurcation of the park by the Barista Storm Channel. And the master plan is actually shown in a handout that we have for you. And it certainly calls out all the implications, including a claustrophobic feel of the park and the lack of safety or the potential for crime because of the bifurcation of the park and the fencing and the entrapment areas and many other things. So Barista Park is surrounded by families with children. Our neighbors reside in 21 developments, 7 of which are apartment complexes. 3 apartment complexes are adjacent to the park. 2 others are a short walk from the park. Restaurants, shops, hotels, and the Arenas district are close to the park. Moreover, the city's housing element has targeted the Barista neighborhood for the majority of its affordable and workforce development in the coming years. Barista is ideal for this development due to its infrastructure and proximity to downtown jobs. The same slide shows in the lower right-hand corner, the little green spot is Barista Park, not so little to us, but if you see all the numbered lots around that have been identified by the city as potential housing areas for new affordable housing, low-income housing, and workforce housing. And that's relevant to the current housing element of the master plan. We need your help to convert what we believe is a city park eyesore into a visual and functional asset. And with the newly announced community funding for Measure J, we believe the time for to make this transformation happen is now. We've met with and walked the channel with Riverside County flood control engineers who control the channel. And we believe our plan is feasible to transform an ugly storm channel into a beautiful pedestrian walkway with bridges that connect the two halves of the park. Now, this has already been done in Los Angeles on a much larger scale. The Great Wall of Los Angeles, if you're not familiar with it, it's just a gigantic version of Bristow Park. So the residents, and they eventually formed an organization, a nonprofit organization, but they turned this portion of their channel, a half-mile long, into a beautiful park by creating a bridge that went across, by creating murals along the side, and creating walking paths along the side of the channel. Currently, with Bristow Park, there are no walkways. I mean, the walkways exist, but they're all fenced in. There's broken, ugly cyclone fencing all around it. And it's unattractive, non-functional, and it bifurcates the park. It makes it a much smaller. We're not artists. We need your help, and we have some ideas, but we're not committed to any one course of action regarding the art. One idea inspired by this Great Wall of Los Angeles is to paint portions of the channel with murals. We expect to have a small monument explaining the origin of the park's name. The tribal council has indicated support for this idea. In fact, our neighborhood is exactly one half of Section 14. Recall that I mentioned we have nearby families living in the apartments. What if our murals were something educational, like portraits of 20th century tribal leaders whose names are the basis for our street names? Bristow, Saul Santiago, Lee Arenas, Ramon Manuel, Miguel Saturnino, and Clemente Segundo. All of those are street names in the Bristow neighborhood. That's just a suggestion. We're not here to say, let's do this. We're here to say, help us figure out the best way to do it. I should also mention we have a basketball court that could use a bit of a creative touch. If any of you have seen the basketball court in the Anaheim Park for Kobe Bryant, it doesn't have to be that fancy, but you can do things with a basketball court. So on the slide, could you move to the next? This just illustrates, there's Bristow Park. You can see the red lines. It's enclosed in three sides. In crime prevention for environmental improvements, that's known as like one gigantic entrapment area. It's not safe. What's safe in a park is open. So if you go into Ruth Hardy or Demuth, and I know those are much larger parks, but they feel safe. I mean, they're open. And if you go into this park, it's fenced off on one side, it's walled off on the other, the double fence around the channel. And there's not even a path that cuts all the way through it because there's no entrance or exit at the other end. We think we can resolve all that. But the final touch of it is, how do we also make it special and beautify it? Did I have another slide? Yes. Oh, yeah, just a little more detail. You can see some pictures of the channel itself. And it's just some close-ups. It's kind of like a lot of cement and some broken cyclone fencing. And that's it. That's just a little something to think about in the future. You know, we've got this channel running through all of Bristow and elsewhere in the city, and couldn't this all be turned into a beautiful walkway someday? But right now we're focused on Bristow. Okay.
So
Yeah, sure. Michael's right.
When you see the first end on the far left in the Bristow on the circle here, so this is the entrance to the flood channel from Indian Canyon. You'll see there's it's blocked just with a car rail, but this could be really an entrance into the park from downtown to serve the people there. And it would be nice to do something, city activities, similar art activities that we have over at the park with the fountain.
Francis Stevens.
To do something similar. We need to bring activity to the park, one, so that it's, right now, we had an issue with homeless people living there. The cooling center was across the street, that's been moved. The city closed the park and reopened the park, getting rid of all the needles and everything like that. But it's got a long way to go to help the residents in these three areas with children. They covered the city's covered the swing sets, and we are going to get new playground equipment, which is good. But there's really still not the usage in the park that is going to create a safety zone for people and families to go to. Right now, it's hot. People aren't using it. There's no water there. There's no restrooms there. And then we've got this bifurcated system that doesn't tie the two sides of the park together. The entrance is really the small little corner on the southwest corner right there. That's really the main entrance to the park. And we were talking with the tribe to make an entrance into the park with a statue maybe of Baristo himself as that part of the park. So we really are trying to connect the two and then bring, like Ned said, bring something more special to the park through art in the city to do that. And a mural would be terrific. There's also that wall that's along the north end where the apartment complex is that could be utilized as well.
So I have a couple comments on this. One, we do have a park program that we kicked off 5 months ago, 4 months ago. I guess it's the art, the call for artists.
The new master plan.
No. It's a Public Arts Commission art program. It's called Artscape, where every park will get $50,000 for dedicated art. The first two parks are Desert Highland and Victoria Park. And then we're working our way down the city. And when this came through, I thought, well, we can do something for Baristo. I think more importantly for your needs, I'm on a task force that the mayor has put together. And it's a task force to re-envision city parks. It's not under the purview of the Parks and Recreation Commission, which is the nitty-gritty day of the park, but it's really rethinking how the parks are being used. And I'm going to talk to him about this because I think this is an interesting concept that we're struggling with for some of the other parks as well. And, you know, as a city, we encourage people to use the parks, but there isn't one park that offers drinks or food. So it's like, you know, you want to tell your family to spend the day there and there's nowhere to buy water, right? So we're sort of rethinking them at a global level. I think this might be an interesting component to it. I will say that going through what your challenges are with something else we're doing, which I will talk about later, down by the wash between Sunrise and Palm Canyon in North Riverside, dealing with floodplain control.
The conference.
Yeah. You're probably a 3 to 5 year program out there, just getting this all done.
Yeah.
And something like the bridge is Measure J. It's not the art commission.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we're not looking for anything next month.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying it's on target,
right,
but it probably won't come out of this year's budget.
Okay, understood.
The one that will, and we'll, as a commission, we'll be discussing this later, is the Artscape program to get a piece of sculpture in there. It won't be something like the mural along the wall, though.
Right.
So, does anybody else have any questions? Again, we're not taking action. You can ask a question.
Yeah, I have a quick question. So your proposal to the city also would include a crossover bridge?
2 footbridges. And,
oh, good.
And we have walked it, we've walked it with Riverside County engineers. And they've told us what we can do and what we can't do. And, but they've been very supportive and it's all very doable. We need a bridge right at the entrance. The city's address, if you look it up for Baristo Park, is in Celia. There's no opening there. There's literally no opening. You have to walk all the way up to El Segundo and then walk back to get into the park. So we need a footbridge there, and we need a footbridge that really goes into the playground area. Something good for the families and closer, more proximity to the. And we've done a lot recently under Patrick's leadership with traffic on El Segundo. So, you know, crosswalks and all those things need to be included in this. It's a big, it's not a short-term project, but
We have a vision.
the master plan that started this is nearly 10 years old and it's never been done. So
As I said, we're dealing with that with the North Riverside. It was done in 2008.
Yeah.
And we're finally getting the art in there.
Yeah.
16 years later.
So Gary, the Artscape program would fund a sculpture, not a mural.
It wouldn't be a mural for this, because something like this will need floodplains to approve it, and that's not going to be for a number of
So
years.
if they would like a mural, how
I'm
would that work? How would they be able to get funds if they would like a mural?
Oh, well, the mural could, but not out of the Artscape program.
Okay.
And I would probably recommend something tile rather than paint. Just for durability.
That's exactly the reason
Yeah.
why we're here, why we need to understand what are the ideas, how do we approach it, and
Some mosaic approach rather
Yeah.
than painting it, especially in a flood like that.
I just want to say that I personally have visited the Great Wall of Los Angeles, and it is an amazing piece of work. And I used to have relationships with the people at Spark LA as well. And the Great Wall of LA is just one of many ways that people in Los Angeles have activated their floodplain channels. Also in Culver City, the Bayona Creek bike path, they have activated that as well with a lot of arts, both murals. And then as you can see over there too, with the walking path and gate. And so I feel like this is actually very feasible and would love to see something like this. I do want to add that in like your suggestion about murals that can go into that. The purpose of the Great Wall of Los Angeles wasn't just to have a 1 mile long stretch of artwork. It was to tell the stories of those in Los Angeles who probably wouldn't have their stories told in this great big monument. So I really like your suggestion about putting the tribal leaders there, but obviously we can solicit proposals from people who have their other ideas of who they feel their stories could be told, or even just artwork to be depicted there. And and to Gary's point, mosaics are a viable thing, very expensive and very time consuming, but it can be done. And then also too, like I said, Great Wall of Los Angeles, there are some artists in Los Angeles that are familiar with floodplains. I'm not too sure what the difference would be between LA County versus Riverside, their restrictions or anything like that. But yeah, I can totally see something like this. And in terms of activating the park, that would probably be, as Gary mentioned, something on a larger scale of a greater cultural master plan to facilitate activation and cultural activities in the park. But due to its size, I think that could be very, very reasonable for that.
And just to add one thing, Spark, Judy Bach is an art educator. Spark, the mural was painted as a community. She painted with high school students, with several members of the community. It was a community-based project. And she did really well because there's a sense of ownership in the community regarding the mural. Something that I would like to see more in those projects that I haven't seen. But projects that will involve members of the community, like Judy Baca did.
murals can engage a community, and the wall, I mean, that developed into community engagement and other organizations, and the neighborhood is still active decades later because of this.
So just to temper expectations.
Yes.
Murals originate in planning,
Yes.
not the Arts Commission. The Arts Commission then approves it and can fund it, but it's a whole planning process that goes through that. As does the bridges and things like that. So the other filter I would say is keep in mind, because as you pointed out, there's going to be a lot of families there.
Yes.
More of an educational component to whatever the design or artwork is. I take a look at the master plan that was done for the Talkwoods Creek area, and education is throughout that.
Yes.
In terms of, because the local school and doing artwork and visuals that will educate kids on sustainability is important. So that as well. But as I said, I think that right now we can focus on the sculptural piece, knowing you're working simultaneously to get this whole area funded as well.
We're only looking at 900 feet.
But that's okay.
That's not, it's not a mile.
Yeah.
So it's a really small part. But it's just, and it's all we have
But
in-
it can
in
be
this
a
neighborhood.
jewel, and that's the
It could
thing.
be.
It's not a large park, but it's something that we can make into a jewel for the city that everybody can enjoy.
I do think also in the planning, it's the landscaping. When you think about the sculpture that would go there, what's the plan for the landscaping? Where are you, if you're adding trees, if you're
Yes,
changing?
there is a plan. I mean, we're starting out with an RFP, and then first phase of the 3 phases is going to have to be designed, and that's the big deal. So landscaping will be a big part of that. The company that we end up hiring or recommending would be one with engineering and landscape architecture in-house, and as well as experience working with Riverside Flood Control. So yes, that's absolutely important. And also, I've done some work, and we've done some work with something called Safety, which Tuckwood's group did as well, that helped them with the current plan and get that going. And so CEPTED is crime prevention through environmental design. So that's an important part of the landscaping, because there are some entrapment areas in Bristow Park. And this is why the openness of the park and safety go hand in hand. So yes, absolutely, there's need for landscaping. There's a broken fence entrance in Celia that citizens have caused by removing the gate because they want to walk through the park. There's nothing but dirt for, an eighth of an acre. So there's a lot of good work to do. By the way, some good work's been done already this year, and we're very happy about that.
I discovered your park last year. There was a popular evening parade downtown, and it was so popular that there were people parked blocks and blocks away. So we were further east along Saturnino, and this park appeared to be a logical, pleasant way to walk through to downtown. And as we were walking into it, and many other people were also, the paths didn't seem to be going where intuitively we wanted to go. And then we got trapped in the pointy end by the fences and had to double all the way back. Why are those fences there the way they are now? Well, I had a second question as well. When the wash is completely full and we have once in a decade storms, is there standing water in the park? Does it come up? And no, it's a dry park.
Yeah, so good questions. Long story short, the county does the channels. And so they put a fence around it. And a lot of people think the fence is to keep people safe but the primary reason for the fence is to keep people out of the wash when there's a flood. So let's say Hillary is coming back. And so Riverside County requires that flood channel be locked in. So how do we create an openness in the park and pedestrian paths through there and still meet the demand to lock it in an emergency? So we have some ideas, and we pitched a concept to Riverside County, and they're looking at it informally right now.
Well, that's not our responsibility,
No.
so.
No, but
Yeah.
important questions, because you don't want murals through cyclone fence.
But that particular fence that you're talking about was left over from when the city closed the whole area. And that portion of that fence was not taken away. It's just still there. It serves no purpose because it doesn't block any of the channel itself. It just blocks the entrance from El Segundo. That's all it is. It's just leftover shrapnel.
So I think next steps are, I'm gonna want whoever's contact information is, Jake can get it to me.
Okay.
And I'll get you on the agenda for the next Parks Task Force, because I think this is something that should be looked at
Okay, great.
globally that way. And then we will contact you when we're getting to the next step for the Artscape component.
Okay.
May I ask a question
Sure.
about that? So, in moving that particular initiative forward, is it important to understand what they will be doing as a future development plan? So you know what you're going to plan for there and where it will go?
For the Artscape component?
Yes.
Well, that we're not gonna even be doing the call for probably for 6 months. So we'll know by that point after we talk to the task force.
We're looking for feasibility
Yeah.
and some support for the larger concept. At this point, does it make sense to you? Does it fit with your long-term planning? That sort of thing. And so we can say, yes, we've talked to the Arts Commission, talked to Parks and Rec.
Conceptually, we love art. We want to pay for as much art as we can.
Good. Bristow wants its
Yeah.
share then. Thank you.
And what district are you in? District 3?
Yes,
we are.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Just, we like to spread the art out in districts.
Okay, so,
So, great.
well, we think the housing issue is significant.
Yeah.
Yes, do you know, Bristow, there are no like single family lots, not one. We have 21 developments. And this artwork, the idea of murals, for example, how do you bring a neighborhood together when you've got 14 HOAs and 7 apartment management companies to deal with, you know? That's a thing for us.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Jared. Thank you.
Or Jim in the future. Next item for approval, approve funding for the amount of $35,000 to add electricity to the art pads on the East Hawkwest Canyon Way median. For background on this, we did the call for artists at Pillars of Palm Springs back a year ago, more than a year ago. And at that time, we were told there was sufficient electricity in the median to do art. We have the floods on each piece, but the artists were told that they could day and evening, okay, and change it around. We didn't find out till about 3 weeks before installation that there was no art or electric there. And so I was driving Jay up the wall at that point. Anyway, so what happened was the artist then, well, one of the artists back there, Bernard Hoyas, came up with an idea to do solar component for his artwork. And then two of the other artists had everything wired because it was already fabricated that way. And they hooked up generators and took pictures to see what it will look like. And we sent those photos around and the city manager said, we have to get this done. So getting this number and this for approval in 3 months is unheard of for city staff. It was pretty quick.
It's quick.
Yeah, that was very quick.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is one of those items where I said we're going to be 2 kinds of votes. This is really the installation, the maintenance of the collection. Staff has done all their diligence. This went through procurement and they need the money. They need us to release the money for them to move forward on this. Okay. Any questions?
No, I was gonna make a motion.
Then make a motion.
Okay, I motion that we approve the $35,000 to add electricity to the art pads on East Hawkwest Canyon Way.
Second.
I have a question.
Oh,
If you're going to speak, can you come up here, Bernard?
Do we have time for public comment on this?
Just for clarity.
It's okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Bernard Hoyes, artist. At the okay. Bernard Hoyes, multidisciplinary artist. One of the proud recipients of a commission to do one of the 6 sculptures. My question is is it going to be wired electricity or is it going to be a solar component to supply electricity?
The intent is to wire the electricity into the site.
Okay. Yeah, the original design that we came up to two of the other artists was a solar component. So I just wanted to make sure how that's going to be followed through.
And we will work with the artist to make sure everything is properly hooked up and coordinated with that.
Yeah, well, as it's required, it's more a situation where it would be the city's responsible, the responsibility of the city to maintain.
Sure.
And there might be other components to being wired other than the pads that probably come as a part of it. But I just wanted to know just whether the solar generated electricity was a consideration. But it's a good go.
Good.
I approve.
Thank you for your
I'm glad
comment,
it came
Bernard.
through. All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, and a second, we have a second on this.
I second Tom's proposal.
We had Commissioner Silvera already seconded.
Yeah, it's
Okay, second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent, Bernard, you got your light.
Wonderful.
And Bernard, by the way, did a beautiful mural on the side of the church downtown as well. That's been there for a number of years, so he's multidisciplinary in the commission.
At the St. Paul Episcopal Church.
That's great.
Down.
Great. Thank you for coming, Bernard.
All right,
Okay.
thanks for
you.
inviting me and good luck. It's a great start to the season.
Next, we're creating a series of ad hoc committees now that we have expanded commission. And Jay and I sort of came up with these, and what we want to do is, we had some ad hoc committees before that were initiative driven, and there were for 3 people on each ad hoc committee. And it was challenging because we had 3 people working on something, and then they might have hit a standstill on, I don't know, cataloging the work or something like that. And as chair, I couldn't step in because then that would reach quorum, and it needed to be publicly noted in a public meeting and every discussion then. So what we're gonna do is create these ad hoc committees, but keep them at 3 people still. And by keeping it 3 people, the chair or the vice chair can step in and help as needed on these ad hoc committees. Okay. My advice to you is when you volunteer for an ad hoc committee, don't overextend yourself. Everybody's going to say, oh, I want to do that, I want to do that, but really commit to what you're doing and sort of choose where you think you can be best used. And I do know that Tina, who can't vote yet, she has said she really wants to get involved with the inventory work. So we'll keep, I believe that's true, Tina. You can just nod your head if that's yes. Yes, she wants to get involved in inventory. So we'll add Tina to the inventory, not formally yet. But the first one is to create an ad hoc committee for creation to review the public art ordinance. This is something that we redid the ordinance 3 years ago. And we voted on changes, and they sat with the city manager at the time, and they were never enacted upon. So we have access to those changes that we requested. We also have requested changes from former Chair Ann Sheffer when she tried to redo the ordinances. So we have a starting point there. I do know that Lori has expressed interest in being a part of that subcommittee. Is there anyone else you would? Okay. And you would, yeah, don't overextend yourself. I know you want to do everything. So, okay, so that you 3 people can do that, and then I will jump in as needed because there's going to be a lot of sort of experiential things. Here's what we've discovered the past year, stuff that works and doesn't work. Okay. So the 3 on the subcommittee are Jim, Natasha, and Lori.
Can I ask a question about that too? Can we get a copy of where they're starting from?
Yeah, I'll
So that-
circulate everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll circulate all 3.
Mr. Chair, there was some information in the packages that was the last we received from the past commission that the city attorney had already looked at also. So that's in there, but it's wide open.
Yeah, as I said, there's so much has changed because when we did this, it was, COVID was still on, and we were 2 city managers ago. And we've already made some revisions. We were able to get certain amounts of money approved for different things that we weren't able to get money approved for in the past. So certain things have happened already. And just to be clear, the ordinances are very lawyerly, and they're lawyerly in the sense that they're open to interpretation. And so one city manager interpreted the words one way, and another one said, no, that's not what I think it means. So sometimes you need to hone down and focus what the words are, and sometimes it's best just to leave it alone. So, but we can talk about that later. Okay.
Another question.
Sure.
I know that this is just updating the public arts ordinance, but would it be possible that this would be a first step to actually formulating a formal public arts master plan here in the city of Palm Springs? Or do we have one already?
Let me stay focused on what's on the agenda. We're really supposed to stay what's been agendized and not jump other things. I will say that the only master plan is it changes every year because we are advisory to city council. And we're getting 2 new city council members this year. So they're going to have their perspective. So if we had a total master plan, they would change it. So, okay.
Mr. Chair, can we get a motion and a second and a vote on the formation of this subcommittee?
Would someone like to make a motion that the ad hoc committee to review the public art ordinance consists of Jim Landay, Lori Kibbe, and Nastasia Gascon?
I'll make such a movement.
I'd like to second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is to review and ad hoc committee to draft the scope of the work for the art inventory RFP. And again, you're not doing the inventory, we're creating an RFP to send it out to get it done. And we can save a place for Tina on that one. Okay, so anybody else would like to get involved in the art inventory RFP only? That's Nastasia, okay? I think that's enough. Okay. Would someone like to make a motion for the ad hoc committee to review work for the art inventory RFP? Includes at this moment just Nastasia. Let's go, and then we will add at the next meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the ad hoc committee to draft the scope of work for the art inventory to include Jim, I'm sorry.
No, just Nastasia.
Nastasia.
And then we'll add Tina at the next meeting. Okay. So it's all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Last one is an ad hoc committee to review the maintenance needs and repair of the collection. We have some pieces of work that I've shared with you that have been sitting in storage for about 15 years and need extensive work to be done. We have some pieces at the airport that need to be completely repaired. And we have other pieces in the city, like the totem pole in Victoria Park. These are not just cleaning issues. These are full-blown maintenance concerns that have to happen. And we need people to be on this who have an understanding of art and an understanding of the legal issues of repairing art as well.
We can learn the legal issues, right? I have no idea. We can learn the legal issues. Okay, I can be in this.
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
So how many pieces are in need of review and what is your time frame?
I don't know, and there's no time frame. Yeah, so to me, this committee will be looking at on an as-needed basis and as working hand in hand with the cataloging. So, for example, we may find some pieces in the collection in front of the airport in some of those big parking lot areas that we don't walk up to, and they go and say, you know what, this one's rusted and needs to be repaired. So this will be ongoing.
Okay, another question then, though, having come from a restoration background, is there somebody who's advising, who understands materials and necessary like requirements for all the materials that may make up the collection?
We will be hiring somebody for that. So that will be part of the sort of the restoration process. The people that are on this committee will be saying, we need totem pole needs to be repaired. We need somebody with expertise in this. This one needs to be repaired for that one. This one's fine. So it's really facilitators rather than doing the work. So Carlos.
So how many people? 3, right?
2 to 3. Okay. Anyone else for that one?
Well, I had a question.
Sure.
I understand like you said, the legalities and then just, the process in preservation and maintaining public art works. It's a very big undertaking, and would it be, to me, it makes more sense to do something similar to the art inventory, sending out an RFP to get proposals from actual conservators and people with the expertise to manage and locate these collections, because we can look at a work and say, oh, it looks fine, but then a conservator who has that experience can come in and say, no, this actually really needs repair, and can detail that and understand the process and how long it's going to take and everything like that. So just wanted to see if that would be a possibility to do that as an RFP as well, rather than have the commission take it on.
The challenge I see with that is we have anywhere between 150 to 200 pieces, solid pieces in the collection that need to be maintained. We've recently maintained and refurbished maybe 60 pieces, I think.
Well, the current maintenance team we have cycles through maybe 20
Yeah.
Each year or so.
But the other ones that we've moved and, they've been maintained and stuff. So we've got some pieces that are in desperate need of maintenance now. So I think just by doing an RFP process, the way it works is it would have to go through procurement. We wouldn't find get anybody under contract for probably 6 months. And that's without knowing what the pieces are. So at least my intent with this is people to sort of go and say, this piece needs to be finished now. As I said, there's 2 pieces we have in storage that we know exactly what is wrong with them. So we may only get a dozen pieces done this go around, but I'd rather start on a dozen pieces and knowing specific repair needs to happen rather than waiting and just sort of pushing it down the road.
And then also my other question too is that how do we intend to have this specifically be about maintenance and long-term care, or is this also going to include the possibility of deaccession?
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
Is this also going to include the possibility of deaccession where we remove pieces from the collection, either to put them up for public auction, or either just remove them, unfortunately, to be destroyed if it comes to the conclusion that the repair may be impossible or fiscally not possible?
Decommissioning artwork, public art, is a long process. It's 2-year minimum. So I don't think anything is that debilitated yet that we need to consider decommissioning it. So right now, I'd rather stay focused on preserving the ones that we know need work. And, I'm sure if anybody could walk around and look at them. There's 2 to 3 pieces in the airport which need to be redone. And as I said, there's 2 in storage that we know of, the Victoria Park one. So it's probably a dozen that we should focus on. Once we get the catalog and we know where the pieces are, then they will sort of intertwine as well. And we're really, at one point we said, well, maybe we have the same group of people do this. And I think we're going too broad, doing cataloging and refurbishment. And then it was like doing a digital archive online, which is, again, that's just way too broad. So we're just trying to break it down and make it attainable.
While the 2 efforts though are intertwined, inventory
sure.
really
Yep.
works closely with maintenance.
But we won't know what maintenance is until we do the inventory. But there are certain pieces now that we know what need to be done.
Said something that interested me. Is there a specific city regulation for deaccessioning art, or is it a city regulation that has to do with city property in general?
It's decommissioning public art.
The term in this context is decommission rather than deaccession.
Yeah, well, because it's part of the commission. It's been commissioned and it's part of the city's public art collection. So, because we looked into it about doing the fountain and decommissioning it. So it's technically been commissioned as public art. So it's
the fountain with the arms.
It's that the fountain has a $65,000 a year maintenance fee. And it's really cleaned up, and in 2 months it looked like it hadn't been.
Stasi's question is really interesting. As I looked through the draft of the public arts ordinance, I was crossing out decommission in every place. I thought that's not an art gallery term.
Yeah.
But this is something.
Yeah, and it's a California thing too. It's about getting, how do you take something out of the public ownership, which is what this is.
And then we have, in terms of the legality, you have to adhere to CAPA and then for the most part VARA as well. And that's kind of the thing about public art. And I think also too, when we do go through the public art ordinance, is actually defining what it is. And I know a lot of us are artists here, and so to define art is kind of painful and sometimes, but regarding the legality and using taxpayers for specific items, I think it would be useful to that. And so therefore, if it's not considered public art anymore, to remove it from the collection. And also defining to public art has, if it's deemed as art, it has to adhere to CAPA and VARA, those laws. If it's not, like when I was in LA, our beautification committee was in charge of doing utility box And we were not allowed to call them art. They were community-sponsored decorations, temporary decorations. These are community decorators who will decorate a piece of city property. The city owns the material rights and can revoke their authority on that utility box at any time. And therefore the decorator doesn't have the same rights under CAPA or VARA. So I think, what was I getting at? It's just, in terms of public art, we have to be careful because once it is considered public art, we have to adhere to those laws. We could, I guess, in the ordinance include beautification for temporary works.
We can address temporary artwork in the ordinance, but let's not get too bogged down now. We need to move on to the next agenda item. Okay. So is there anybody else who wants to be on the maintenance needs and repair the collection? Is there anybody? Did we get anybody?
I don't think we have anybody yet.
Just me.
Just Carlos.
Okay.
How many new commissioners are we having next meeting?
I'm sorry,
How many new commissioners are incoming next meeting?
Tina
Just
and Shonda.
There's two who are not
Yeah.
here. Well, Tina's here, but
Why don't we put this one on hold then until the next meeting?
okay.
We'll put Carlos down. Next is to discuss, review, and select asphalt art designs for referral to Desert Highland Gateway Neighborhood Organization to select the top design. This was a program that the money's already funded. And it was approved by the city about a year ago. And this is something that came to us about 2 years ago through Bloomberg Philanthropies. And this initiative is something that has been statistically proven to slow down traffic and to create a sense of community when you engage the community. Now, Carlos and Chris have been working on this and spearheading it. Carlos has offered to take the lead on it through his community engagement background. And so what we'll be doing here is reviewing the designs. I think there's probably 9 or 10 solid designs.
There's 10.
Yeah.
And if you'd like, I could put them on the screen.
I have a question, Jay. I don't see, are all the artists here that applied? Because my friend, he's a Vietnamese American artist, and he sent you the material. You emailed me, CC me, saying that because he needed to know that you guys received it. I don't see his work here. Kip Nyang.
Yeah,
And I think this probably is the only work that probably will be community based. He already did work in Singapore, Hong Kong, working with the community. And this work is not here. And I know he applied.
yeah. I don't think the applications went through me, did they?
Yeah, you sent him an email. He sent an email, he sent his paperwork to you. And you said you received it and you see it to me. Hip Nyang.
How do you spell hip?
It's that very popular Vietnamese last name is Nguyen Nhang. But you would say Nguyen with G.
Let me just check and see if I have it.
I'm sorry to be a troublemaker, but
Yeah.
I was hoping that at least one would involve the community instead of painting birds.
You know, legally and technically, we have to go what was submitted to the.
I know.
Yeah.
But I would like to see him among the artists.
Yeah. And these were the ones that did come in through the email address.
This came in also too. He checked with me 3 times.
He sent it into the email address.
He sent it to him, then I to Jay, and then he was aware that there was another call, and then he sent it again. But it doesn't matter. He was on the first ones who sent it.
So Jay, how do we move forward?
Well, we could table, Mr. Chair, just, I'm not finding it on the emails, but they don't last too long, so.
So why don't we do this? We said 2 to 3 would go on to the community.
Right.
We could choose 2 from here, and if you can find out what happened with that one, we can then just consider it the next one, but let's, at least we've got everybody's attention and let's work through this now.
Sure, okay.
And then we can go from there.
So I'm meeting people from J Community Center on Tuesday. The meeting is just for that because they don't have a meeting this month.
Okay.
So we'll be selecting Shu and then another one.
Well, I mean, we can't select without seeing what. your friends
Yeah,
submitted.
I just think, I know he applied. He asked me several times because he saw that was just the perfect project for him. I know he's not selected next June, but I would hate not to see him here.
You know what, I do have, Commissioner Silvera is, circle painting,
Yeah, the circle planning.
but not submitted for the asphalt art.
He submitted for the asphalt art. I told him,
What did he send it to you, Jay?
Then I forwarded it, this was back in April, I forwarded it to the commissioners. Okay, it is asphalt. I'm sorry, it is for asphalt. So,
Can you put it on the screen?
yes. April.
Okay, so while you're doing that, we should consider the vibrancy of the design, the community, and knowing this is temporary art. This is not meant to last.
when you say the community, what do you mean?
The
When you
community
say
where
the
it's-
community.
Where we're residing, in front of the community center.
Yes,
Yeah.
but also take consideration that's a community base that he's working, unless people are gonna watch him paint from the sidewalk. The artist painting birds. Sorry,
No, I'm just saying, like, we need to consider the community this is going to.
sure.
So the design should reflect the people of the community as well. And the vibrancy of the colors. And there were specific requests in the RFP in terms of showing your design, showing the thing. Chris and I even got caught when somebody was like, well, what's the width of the road? And we're like, oh, if you're off by a foot, we're not going to penalize you. So evaluating these designs, we need to look at qualifications. We need to look at the overall
There he
design,
is.
how responsive
Yeah,
it is.
here it is.
And at the same time, if we feel that the artist has submitted design, but it doesn't match the criteria for any other reasons, you can sort of disqualify them because saying they didn't submit this.
I have to get another power cable.
Okay. So there was one or two designs here that were a nice design, but they didn't show how it would look as a walkway. Okay, and again, this will be driven over, it will be walked over. And we told them no sloganeering, no faces as much as possible, because for famous people, we, like somebody said, oh, put the George Floyd mural here, and we're like, we don't want people driving on that. Okay.
We're going one by one, or we're going just to, I'm going to look at each one of them and then we decide.
Well,
How
everybody's
we're gonna do it.
everybody's looked at them. Is there any that people found as their top two? Jim?
I have top five.
Well, you're not gonna last on the art commission.
I know, well, I'll be popular with the artists.
Okay.
I would say that of all of the proposals, the one that I thought had at least on paper appeared to pay the most attention to the community in which she also grew up in was Joanna Wilson, who did a Google-based survey of her neighbors. Intends to have a QR code as part of the art that will then go to a musical, an audible component of it. And she also mentioned that she would draw on the children of the neighborhood to help paint the background before she did the foreground. And I just thought that was a charming participatory art installation.
Sorry, Jim, she was going to do what first?
Sure. She said in her proposal that she'd grown up in the neighborhood and was going to have a musical component. So a QR code in the art would allow passersby to tune into an Apple channel on which her selection of
Okay, we're gonna proceed, but we just have audio, so we will not have the video feed.
Okay. Are you able to show us the design?
Uh. Yes, yes. Which design were we on?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you need any explanation, he was my graduate student. Actually, his thesis was the circle project.
Okay, here we go. Let me just make sure we're recording too.
Recording in progress.
Okay, thank you. Good to go.
Did we have to do some this design?
The idea of the circle when he has, I think you passed over you when he talks about community, family, self, all concentric like a mandala. But this is an example of what he does. The idea was he was going to, the part of the project was coming here to, he lives in Riverside, to the high school that pretty much serves that neighborhood and talk to art students. And the art students will be ambassadors. The art students will work with him and the kids and everybody in the community painting those circles. The main point in his thesis was in what ways projects like this have a final aesthetic viability or not, if it is just painting. And that's the beauty of this project, that organically comes out as a very nice painting, like that one, for example. But it's the beauty of it, because it's going to be a weekend, a Saturday, the whole community is involved. And I think what I like about his work is that it's somehow a wake up for all the artists who want to do the same thing, or you should do the same thing, because that's what we call community-based arts. What Judy Baca did decades ago, she knew it already.
This proposal is 7 pages long. Would it be appropriate, or is there time for us to look at each slide for perhaps a minute each and make sure we've absorbed things that to some extent.
See, this is a project we did in Hong Kong, the first one. It's huge.
Just because we were able to absorb these other ones in paper.
So you, from the beginning?
I'd like to be able to read what he's talking about and how it engages.
Yeah, there's a whole theory behind it. Unfortunately, I have to push. He is very shy, and so
we can read quickly.
If he talks about his work here, he wouldn't say anything because it's just he has a hard time articulating what he does, but it's beautiful what he does.
Just let me know when you don't like me to advance.
There's this whole element of play in the beginning. The kids have to do circles with their bodies, and then they're meditated. And then, but it's all interactive since the beginning and during the whole penny process. But basically, he was going to get our students to be the ambassadors. The process of painting, it's about teamwork. So the process of painting, there are no, people don't talk to each other. And it's kind of fun. And every time a kid makes a circle, the only thing you can say is, wow. And then, but you can juxtapose circles with other circles that were painted. And then it becomes, the composition starts becoming very intricate with a lot of depth.
How much does he actually give them pattern for each of their circles, or are they own creativity?
No. Later on, because of the ambassadors will be there, of course, and he is overviewing everything. Later on, the kids realize they can do more than just circles. They can paint little circles inside it. They can decorate it with stripes inside the circles. And then you start seeing pretty much how the project develops. But it's very interesting how the process goes. He's been doing this for years.
I think we can go up on this page, this timeline stuff.
Yeah, we've seen these pictures.
Circle. Any other ones that we want to consider? Or
Well, I like, I think, I like the interaction with the music. I believe that's the one where I think that's, for looking at community involvement. I'm very impressed with what he's doing. I don't quite understand how to.
I like
get
that too
involved.
also.
I also think it's quite beautiful. I also like Marconi's. I just,
First off, thank you for sharing, Phyllis. I want to say something too. I think maybe this is the first location of asphalt art. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to do more locations. There's a lot of great proposals in here as well. So that could be something to think as we do table these other artists. The first two that I also liked was Joanne Wilson. I loved how she talked to the community and really engaged them. I think that's kind of the first part of building product as well, and really engage the community. And I love Marconi's as well. I thought the colors were very vibrant. Love the depiction of the flowers and the hearts. And I really like how she followed directions. So it fully do a whole kind of complete kind of visual master plan of what this would be.
did Joanne submit a design one?
conceptual, I think, about the
The flowers?
This was the
Follows with someone different.
Yeah, the one of the flowers, right?
So I read through this and I was like, where's the design?
I wasn't sure of her design either. I felt that it was,
Yeah,
Oh, Joanne, you're
yeah,
talking about.
I couldn't find the design there. It was a
Oh,
concept.
Marconi, I'm sorry.
Conceptual.
it was a
Yeah.
concept. I thought maybe this was the design, but
Yes.
then she was gonna spend.
Yeah, that was my.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting concept. Didn't see the mocks of the actual.
Yeah.
So what is what is should be doing the asphalt that day?
What we should be doing that
Yeah.
day in asphalt. Should be in the proposal. Let's see.
I think
I think that's probably the weakest part of the proposal. I think the more interesting part is the engagement with the music and the QR code, and that she has music.
Oh, that would be Joanna, right?
Yes.
But the Marconi is the same, is the same person, Joanna Marconi?
No,
Marconi is another one. I think it's the flowers on the asphalt, right?
Correct.
So Chris, which were your,
My personal favorite was Marconi Galindas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the concept of Joanne, and then I also liked Pat Trevino. I really enjoyed the hand concept, kind of overlapping each other. I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah,
Is the funding coming from Greenberg or from the city?
oh, it's already been funded.
It was inspired by Bloomberg, it's not related to Bloomberg.
Oh, okay, because
Yeah.
I was just wondering, because if they had any.
But we have their whole style guide and how to engage with the community.
Yeah, because there's all this talk about community engagement, and I was wondering if that was like a stipulation in that, for the kind of funds, that they have to have community involvement.
We recommend it, but it's not necessary, but we think we will. Let me put it that way. It was discussed in the RFP. Carlos feels strongly it should be community engagement or engaging with them with their.
We're gonna have several other ones, so I think that we should have at least something. And if other artists apply for the second one, for a second project, they'll have at least this in mind. I'm pretty sure they didn't have in mind at this time.
Which are your favorite two or three?
My top two are gonna be, Gabby Belinda Vasquez. I really like, the really bold, simplistic, designs right there, and then just even having some wording on there to, as you said, to make people slow down, to see what is being written in the message there. It might be considered signage, so I don't know if there's a stipulation on that. Jay, if it's considered signage, we have to disqualify that. But then my second one would be, Marconi as well.
Carlos, we know you're one of your choices.
I like Joanna. I think the fact that the kids are going to be involved in the painting and she's very young, she'll interact right away with those kids. And I definitely, but then I'm biased, I think, because I've seen his work internationally everywhere. And he's a very enjoyable person. He's playing all the time. He's a performer. So I would like just, I like his work too. So
I want to say that I think there's something admirable about all the designs. Some of them I think would be better as murals than as cars driving over them. Like I love the floating guy with the paper bag head, but I don't know if we want cars driving on that. And even some of the cast designs where it's splattered paint, it looks like there's a car accident there. So again, great for murals, not so much for driving. I do love cats with the flower. I'm sorry, that was Marconi, right? Yeah, Marconi with the flower and cats holding hands. I thought was great. Again, that engages and personifies the idea of community. We're in this together, shared hands. And I like your friends. I think that's a really intriguing approach as well.
to becoming a year thing. So 2 or 3 times before, he needs to train the ambassadors, but it's the whole thing that leads to the painting. And that's what I think is interesting.
So I'm comfortable. And as I said, some of the other designs are great. I'd like to see them as murals or maybe in a different community, not necessarily for this specific community. So I would recommend we go to the community with cats holding hands, because that was popular. Marconi's flowers was popular. And then the circle art.
So we're not doing
Music ones, I don't see what the design is. And if we have to choose 3, I think it's an interesting idea.
So Joanna is not among the 3 kids.
I understand that too. She didn't give us a design, so I assumed that it was gonna be those cassettes.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how well.
That's
they
my
would work.
hesitation it's an interesting concept. I don't see a design.
A mural or something to you can scan and the song comes up, which I know that you have. Scan this code and no aspect.
So I need to get their names and then I'll go and get all the images. Sorry.
No, I'm just gonna say, we don't want people stopping in a sidewalk, scanning stuff. We kind of keep them moving through the street. So I like the concept and the whole idea, but it's not great for a street.
Oh, the words? Which one?
Anything that's gonna make somebody stop and slow down or read something. And in this case, scan a QR code from the sidewalk is an issue. I personally, I think safety wise, we just can't go that way.
I could see doing something like that in a park. Or maybe the QR code is on the utility box, and then if, there's music as you do a art walk around the park or something like that. But I just don't see this on yet, so, and I think we have enough to choose from if we're submitting 3.
It's interesting. So she thought something would come out that it cannot tell us really how it's gonna come out. I like that, but It's very conceptual.
We don't know what she thought.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
very
first
conceptual.
attracted with the interactivity of it, but interactivity for a crosswalk is the last. And I realized that she didn't actually include a rendering of what the sidewalks, what the crosswalks would be like. So I'll remove mine.
What do you think? Tina's there.
Well, Tina can't vote.
Oh, but she can tell us pretty much what she thinks,
No, she
no?
can't.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's Commissioner Conway. She's not sworn in yet. She
Okay,
can listen.
yeah,
So I think if we recommend those three, you take them and then we'll see what the community responds to.
okay.
Okay. And again, I think they're all good for different reasons. And some of them.
So, let me get the whole names of the artists here. What's the first name of the Marconi artist?
Jake can send you these. He'll send you them. separately.
Right, can I also get a motion to approve? Is it, the, Cat Trevino,
Marconi Calendars.
Marconi Calindris, and Hip Nguyen?
And who's the third one?
Your friend Kip.
Hmm?
Your friend Kip.
Oh, it was the second one that Jane said.
Okay, so Marconi,
Marconi, yeah,
Cat Trevino,
Gatrevino.
and it's holding hands with Cat. Not the splattered bodies on the screen.
Shall I make a motion?
Please.
So, I make a motion that we are submitting the three proposals, the first from Marconi, Belinda, the second from Cat Trevino, and the third from, and his last name, I'm sorry.
Yang,
Yang.
Yang.
And specifically, it's the Cat Trevino of the holding hands. I'd like to second that. All in favor?
So the way I'm going to do it, we are meeting on Tuesday. Just for this, but I told him to have at least 1 week as a board to make decisions. I don't want you to be there when they make decisions.
Yeah.
So I'll just present the works if they have any questions. Okay.
Yeah, very good. And again, this was very encouraging that we had something solid that we like. And this was intended to be a test case for this area. And if it's successful, we will roll it out. Council is interested in doing more of these in neighborhoods, not in downtown. Problem with downtown is there's too many heavy trucks driving over the hot pavement. But in neighborhoods like around Community Park could be interesting. Around Victoria Park could be really interesting as well. Around some schools.
So what happens that day? There will be the artists, but there will be food involved. There will be the firefighters are going to give hot dogs or stuff. No, nothing.
It's really art.
Just the art.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay. And
Just
once,
want to have
so
an
the
idea.
process will be, you will go get the design selected from the community. And then the installation will be coordinated with Public Works, which are gonna have to shut down the road. Probably gonna have to clean the road, and Jay will deal with that. So I think as soon as this will happen, will probably be mid-October.
Okay, so this will be something that I'll plan with them, Jake, to figure out if they want to do something else.
Yes, but again.
It would be nice to have music.
Once the design is finalized, then send a note to Jay and let him know who it is. So you also have to get a contract drawn up with the artist.
Okay.
In future iterations, you see a similar process where it's limited to 3 that are being recommended to the host community, host neighborhood. And I was curious at how we arrived at 3 this time.
Generally, we will make a selection on it. But this one, we want to, for a project like this with painting it, we want the community to be involved, so we want them to have a sense of ownership to it.
When you're thinking about it.
Will they be able to see the other proposals that weren't presented?
That's the goal of the art commission. Make that selection.
Yeah, you're thinking about October. When you think?
Well, I think honestly, by the time you make the selection, and then Jake gets the contract drafted and gets it back from the artist, and then gets it scheduled with Public Works, it'll be late September, early October. I think earliest.
It also seems to me that several of these are, do want to involve the community, so there have to be some form of notice so that they know what day they're paying.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and this goes back to what I said at the very beginning. It's like, we need to be patient, you know, so it's a matter of planning things. It's not like, oh, let's just do this weekend.
Are we on time? We are 7 minutes over. Project updates. The only one that I really want to address, well, two of them I want to address is Artscape in the Parks. The designs for that one are due the end of August. That's August 29th is when the submission designs will be coming in. That's for parks at Desert Highland and at Victoria Park. Once we determine how many, or we know how many designs we're getting, and we have no idea until they're done. Most of them come in the week before. They will be circulated to the commission in advance, and then you're going to have to review them and submit your top 5. Jay will send you a sheet that you will fill out and say, these are my top 5, numbering from 5 to 1, 5 is, it's your first, and then 1 is your piece of the top 5. You will then tabulate the numbers. We will then come together and review the top 3 to choose from that point. And the only reason why we're doing this, we don't know how many we're going to get. We might get 20, we might get 60. It just may be too labor intensive to review. And as you recall, with the pillars, we had a selection committee that was chosen by procurement. And the selection committee was a series of experts. There was somebody that worked in the collection department at the museum. There was somebody in charge of public art for Palm Desert, and somebody from public art in San Diego. And they made the selections. The commission at that time said, well, we'd like to be involved. So we're getting you involved. It's work though. Again, depending on how long these are and how many we get in, we may have to call a special meeting if we need to get in front of council, and these are due to be in front of council, approved, contracts done, fabrication started, and installed by parks by next Memorial. Beautiful Shade, the application for that just went out this week. We've already got, I think, 15 people who've asked questions on the call for artisting, so I think that one's going to be very dynamic. A lot of people. Somebody from Poland is applying, which I think is great. And they're being promoted on CodaWorks and publicarts.org, and then everybody who has submitted anything to the Public Arts Commission in the past couple of years is getting an application. And that one, those are due the end of September, so we'll deal with that process.
Yeah, is that for a specific part?
No, so it just over the Beautiful Shade is just overall design. And then we can determine which part it fits in, and we may say, oh, that might look great at the library, or it might be great at the convention center. So there's the convention center is interested, the airport is interested, different schools could use it as well. So the idea is that we're just going to find things to the park and to. So, and we may say, this would be great for Barista Park. And maybe one. We have no idea what this looks like, but there's going to be a lot of it. Anything else in the session? The black one is George Floyd mural. That one was repainted and photographed.
Correct.
Okay, good.
The anti-graffiti thing was applied, check.
No. Pictures were taken. Pictures were taken.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to address in the commission?
Just welcome back from summer break and welcome new commissioners. So.
And then one question I have is, I know council approved the new code of ethics for the commissions. Was it in June, I believe? When will those be circulated and sent to the various commissions?
I'll have to check on that and let you know, but
because I read what was in the council report, and there was some interesting ones in there based on problems that they've had in other commissions, not in our commission. And one was we're not allowed to use electronic devices. Because apparently commissioners were texting how they were going to vote on things. Each other. And the other one, the key one, which I will get specific on, was posting on social media as well. So now that we're sworn in as commissioners, there's guidelines on how we can post on social media. Only regarding things that will come before our commission. But we can address that.
I'm not social media guy, so.
Okay, so I'd like to thank everybody. This went a little long, but I think it's, we had some good discussions. And hopefully Tina will be here at the next meeting. And we should be good to go.
yes.
regards to the ad hoc committees, Jerry, what is it on how those work, how we schedule the meetings when we come to and everything like that?
Yeah, I'll help coordinate with each of the groups.
Send it to Jay and then I work with Jay on creating the agenda. Because we balance so that we don't have too much procedural stuff. Like this was a perfect agenda. We had a presentation, we had sort of installation things we did for group and then. And I do know we have some things coming up that will be controversial in the next couple months that we have to vote upon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, sorry.
That's good.
That's part of the joy. Would someone like to make a motion for adjournment?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this Thursday, August 8th meeting.
I think we need to say when the next meeting was.
Next meeting is September 5th.
I'll make it, you can say. I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn the Public Arts Commission meeting and we will adjourn at a meeting on September 5th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. in the conference room in the Palm Springs City Hall. There's a second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Your first meeting is done.
I have a question for Jay after the meeting's adjournment. Jay, does the Brown Act